Am I back?
It's Liv.
It's good to be here. Oh, and it's
Who are
Leonie.
you? Still get a lol.
Just another day in the life. Can I tell you, I kind of lost my shit in the dry cleaners recently. Yeah.
What happens to what? Explain.
I'm leading in with this because I have to laugh because, okay, so what happened was, and my whole thing is I just dislike, very strongly when people see that you're with children and then they just kind of don't factor that into their general, perception of a situation. So let me start at the start.
Where are you going with this?
So basically we are running late for Greek school, right? So I'm hooning down Toorak Road trying to get, to Greek school. And we had to stop at the dry cleaners because we had to get Noah's uniform, the pants taken up, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, cool, efficiencies, stop at the dry cleaners, then go to Greek school. I reckon we'll make it as long as there's no interruptions. We find a park out the front. I'm like, I'm already winning at life. The kids were a little bit ratty, but I'm like, it's all right. Got them out of the car. Gets to the dry cleaners. There's one lady in front of us taking forever. I'm like, that's chill. I'm just going to wait, take your time. No one's rushing over here. Whatever. Anyway, she finally gets served. Meanwhile, I'd ushered Noah into the change room. I'm like, Noah, just put the school pants on. Hurry up. Quick. We don't have time. Like, quick, we're next in line. So he's doing that and Charlie, and they're playing in the change room as they do. No sense of urgency whatsoever. Finally, the dry cleaners lady, who is amazing and I've gone to her for years, and know her very well, finishes helping that customer, and so she's on to us. I'm like, right, it's our turn. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, I reckon we're still going to make it. So I was like, what do you think? Take it up, this match ship. She's working it out. Then I turn around and I say, Noah, put your other pants on. We're leaving. Meanwhile, she'd already walked up to the front desk. I'm about to follow her to pay and sort that out so we can go because mama's in a rush.
You are doing well.
Right?
You are on track.
We were on track until she goes to the desk and there's already someone there, and I think they saw the interaction and they were kind of like, oh yeah, hi, so what I need is blah blah, and they kind of just cut in. Now I was like, was I not clear? Because I'd literally just said, Noah, put your pants on, and I was following her. I'm like, did you not see me follow her?
You were still being served as the customer.
As I said to the lady,
the exchange had not concluded.
The transaction was still in flow, right? So then this lady's like, I'll just, here's my ticket. And so then what did the store person do? She's like, oh, okay, thinking, all right, well, maybe. And then she was kind of like, this is a little bit awkward. And then she was like, okay. And she kind of goes to start helping her. And then I was like, excuse me. And I obviously didn't say it loud enough because the lady saw me. Like, I'm trying to butt in. I wanted to say, excuse me, I'd like to just pay so I can leave, like so that this transaction can be completed.
Yeah.
You over there without children who looks like they're just chilling, having the best time of your life. I've got 2 kids fighting in the change room. I want to bounce. I want to get out of here.
Here's my energy.
You can imagine as well.
I can imagine.
So what annoyed me, Liv, was that I said, excuse me, and she looked over, glanced back to the dry cleaner later and was like, so anyway, yes, with my purchase, I'll be getting, and I was like, is this person actually Sarah? She saw me. Any other person would be like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I butt in? Whoops, She didn't get it. So I'm sitting there seething for about, 3.5 seconds. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to let this go because it was one of those days that I'd had. I'm like, I'm not going to let this go. So I was like, excuse me. And they both abruptly turn over to me. And I'm like, we hadn't completed the transaction. Steve going out of my ears. And she's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I just got served. So I was just responding to being served. And I'm like, and the dry cleaner lady's like, oh, no, I'm sorry, must have been a miscommunication. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't care what happened. I would like to complete my transaction and get my ratty kids out of your store because they're driving me nuts and I'm late for Greek school. So anyway, she's there. And so she's huffing as the dry cleaner, I'm paying the money. And then I heard her huff and then what she did. So I'm like, come on, boys, let's go. Boys are halfway out the door. And she goes, oh, look at that. And this is the other lady. She says to the dry cleaner lady, oh, look at her, all busy, and rolls her eyes, as in like, look at the mum all busy with the kid. And I was halfway out the door and I was like,
let it go.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Oh, God.
I backpedaled in.
For everyone just listening in your ears, I currently have my head in my hands and I'm starting to rock and go.
It was one of those days.
I know this Leonie.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen this Leonie before.
I go, excuse me? And she goes, I'm just saying, aren't you so busy? Like she leant into it and I went, you want to go? And so I was like, well, maybe you should find yourself something to keep yourself busy with. And she was like, oh, well, I'm just saying. And she was like, oh, no, go. And she's trying to dismiss you. You're so busy. Just go. And I'm like, I was like, I don't actually appreciate your attitude, mate. Oh, no, just go. You're so busy. Meanwhile, the dry cleaners lady's like between us being like, it's fine. Everyone's happy. And I was like, you got to check yourself. I didn't know. I was so angry. I was like, none of my good calls were coming out. And so I was like,
no, that was good. I thought that was quite a good one.
I was like, you got to check yourself. And then the dry cleaner was like, please just don't worry. It's all good. And then I was kind of like, I can't even be bothered at this point. So I was like, I had my 3 little stabs and I was like, I'm done. You win, whatever. Anyway, get in my car, get the kids all buckled in. It takes, an hour and a half to do that. Finally get into the driver's seat, ready to do the UE to go back to where I had to cover. And then old May, the chick from the dry cleaner, is like strolls on out, like just taking
So everyone's wondering, did you run her over?
She sees me and I literally put my foot on it and do like the biggest burnout. I do the biggest UE/burnout on Toorak Road and I'm like, you could see she was just like, and I was like, nah, yeah, like I can't deal with you. So anyway, I get to grade school. I'm like already in a fluffle. The kids were like, Mum, what happened? Because I missed it. And I was like
other
nothing.
Humans, darlings.
Just, I was like, anyway. And then I bumped into a mum at Greek school and she goes, oh, you seem a bit flustered. I'm like, I just had a run-in with someone at the dry cleaners. I was like, I never speak to her. So she's probably thinking, oh, she's a bit of a hoon, isn't she? It's the only run-in I've had in so long, so I had to share it with everyone.
So I feel like we need to work through this.
Oh, I know. I'm too prickly.
What was happening in the lead-up? Because that is an unusual response. I mean, I'm a bit like that. Like, if someone does upset you, you honestly felt that she was rude. And
ignored me the first time. Yeah. That's what I didn't like. You see me, so I said, excuse me, in a calm manner, just trying to interrupt them to say, can I please finish my transaction? And she looked at me, looked back and goes, anyway, and I went, nah. But to be fair, it's just been heightened because it was one of those days with work compounded by, the things, the to-dos.
Right? And sometimes
you just get pushed over.
We just lose our cool.
Yes.
We're human.
Well,
Can you go back to the dry cleaners?
Oh, so when I went back 2 days later, and I felt like the dry cleaner lady was giving me a bit of attitude. So I walk in and I'm like, oh, hi. And she's like, oh, hi. And I'm like, oh, and then I was like, just to clarify,
she doesn't like brawls in her dry cleaning shop. Like I kind of understand why she was like, oh God, what do we got today?
I said to her, just to clarify, the other day, you didn't do anything wrong. I just don't appreciate it when people push in line and then give me attitude the way that I'm like, you've got children, you know what it's like. The kids, you just want to get them organised, you're trying to get them out the door and how rude. And she was like, oh, yeah, okay. You crazy person. Okay, yes, just please take your goods and leave.
Get out of my shop and don't come back.
No more.
You can take your attitude out of here.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, oh, I hope I
think lots of people can think about their own personal story, particularly around queue jumping. Like it's just a really un-Australian thing to do, right? It is an Australian thing to do, to stand in lines.
Absolutely.
We do it.
We like order.
There's
a sequence.
Just a thing. And if you do anything to disrupt that and queue jump.
Oh, don't like it.
Especially, I will road rage. I'm really feeling.
Tell me, do you have any road rage situations that we should know about?
I get really road ragey. I'm happy to get on my horn, get my hand out the door.
Do you?
For people who cut in, when you're trying to do a left-hand turn or you're trying to get somewhere and people kind of just cut in.
Yes.
They jump the line, they put their indicator on and they're like cruising in, or they wait for a little clearway and they scoot in. Oh, no, you didn't. I will road rage. Am I making you feel a little bit better
That's good. Do you do the fist out the window? That's pretty funny.
I have been known to just, sorry, Mum, put the finger up too. And then I thought, what happens if that's one of my work colleagues? That would be really bad. But that's kind of where I go to my brain.
To live. Oh, my goodness. I love it. Well, we should probably get into the topic for today,
What do you want to talk about today?
That's enough on the road rage /
angry
public nuisance antics.
I can hear my dad being like, young women, angry young woman. Calm down.
Calm down. So, look, we had an audience question that I thought would be pretty cool to bring to the table because I do think it is something that we can all relate to, and perhaps we have touched on it in other episodes, but I feel as though we can certainly give it a bit of a new spin now that we are so far progressed, into the year, and I think we'll probably have a different take on it. Yeah. So, because life always changes. So the question that was brought to us was, a mum saying, I'm drowning from the mental load and work. How do I stay present with my family whilst being weighed down by so much responsibility? And I feel like we touched on this in our last episode, Liv. One thing is to have all the to-dos and all the responsibilities and things like that come with parenting. But another thing is actually to be able to switch off and then go, okay, I'm in mum mode now, or I'm in work mode now, or I'm in friend mode. Friend mode I have no problem switching into, because I'm like, I'm in friend mode. Yeah. Like, I don't have to transition myself to.
Happy to be there.
But certainly from work to children or vice versa. Any tips? Like, what do you do?
Where do you even begin with a topic like this?
I know.
I don't feel like I'm equipped to answer, because I don't particularly feel like I'm doing a good job of this personally myself, which I did speak about a little bit in an earlier app. What are some of the things that you can do? Have a plan, be kind to yourself, and repeat after me. What's my favourite saying? I'm doing the best that I possibly can. I have particularly been finding recently that I'm just overwhelmed by everything. It just feels like it keeps piling up.
Yeah.
And by that I mean home life, washing, gardening, work. But the next layer that is playing out is kind of world events and the world that we're in, cost of living. Yeah. It just feels like there are so many things that can keep you up at night.
Yes.
And I feel like I am starting to worry more, and I don't know if that's because, we are now partway through the year and I'm probably due for a holiday. Yeah. But I feel like the burnout worry where I'm finding it hard to find the circuit breaker to stop thinking like that. I'm spiraling down deep, dark holes, which is not helpful for this person, other than to say, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And what's the best thing that you can do? Ask for help and find a way to navigate through it, probably by identifying what the problem is.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that you make, though, because there are so many external factors that are impacting the weight that we do feel. How do you consume your media? Do you get notifications on your phone and that rattle you, or do you just go to, how do you consume your media?
I definitely have my head in my phone. I'm that person that my phone battery is on 5% when I put it on the charger at night. Yeah. And that's a lot about just being glued to it, and it's constantly in my hand. Yeah. Funnily enough, I do watch a lot of world news, which I typically do in bed at 9:30, catching. Yeah. So that's probably affecting my psyche. Yeah. In fact, I haven't thought about it till you asked me that question, that I'm obviously having that as my final intake. You read a book, I'm watching ABC News. Yeah. That's just something that I've always done because it puts me to sleep if I'm listening to it. But it's obviously, now in my subconscious perhaps a little bit, and playing out in the way that I'm thinking about it. But you turn on the news, there's nothing good.
There's nothing good. And that's what they make, news about, the things that are going to stress you out. That's just what it is. That's media. I'm curious, do you, because I had notifications on my phone for a number of years where they were just news alert, and I actually had to turn them off because I felt it was a little bit too much. Yeah. Do you have notifications?
I have also recently turned off a lot of notifications. Yeah. I was getting them coming through on my phone and my Apple Watch.
Oh, God.
Hey, Apple, sponsor us. I love my Apple Watch. I'm obsessed.
That is absolutely the dream, obsessed. By the way. Hi, Apple.
Hi, Apple. But usually I'm talking poorly about brands, but Apple, I am happy to endorse you. You haven't given me a talking to about that for a while. So that's good. I'm behaving myself. Let's continue on that roll. But I had to turn my notifications off. Yes, it was about news and just distraction, but I also just felt like I was not present any time that my watch would vibrate or my phone would go off. Yep. And when you do that activity of how long can you actually go without touching your phone, it's terrifying to see, how addicted we are and what we're constantly consuming, but subconsciously consuming, to not consciously being aware.
Yep.
when we're scrolling. You're not taking it in, but you kind of are.
You are. And, more recently before I read my Kindle, I will often go on Instagram, and a lot of the alerts a lot of the reels are media.
Yeah.
And so there's that sort of flash of, this is stressful, people are suffering, and all, it's all information that we want to consume. We, to some extent, need to in order to be able to understand and make change in this world sort of thing. But it's like, how do you digest it in a way that doesn't impact your mental health? And so for me, then being able to switch to my Kindle, and actually on my list talking about books, I was a couple of months back that I did an episode with Steph Claire Smith for Mother's Day, and and it's been on my list to read.
Okay.
Her recommendation, she loves erotic novels.
Okay.
She said that really, talking about you get your head in the clouds, right, away from the stress. And Colleen Hoover's book, Ugly Love, have you read it?
I have not read
Apparently, that's where we're going to start. That's where I want you to start, Liv, and you can report back.
Yes. I'm down for a book club.
So stop watching the news right before bed, watch it for 5 minutes, and then read Ugly Love and tell me if you sleep better.
I think I probably will.
Mark will probably appreciate the benefits too.
Exactly. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
So, and I guess the point is breaking ourselves out from, even down to, I know the way I'm much more intentional around Instagram when it comes to viewing things other than inspirational stuff and news. When I am looking at what other podcasters are doing or influencers are doing, I think I mentioned a while back, I used to get a little bit triggered because I'd watch it before bed and I'd be like, wow, they're really killing it, or whatever that looks like. They're doing something I would love to do, and they're succeeding way faster than me. And I'd bring me down. And so what I've just literally, I think, once I put that out there on the podcast, I was like, I've got to be more mindful about how I consume this stuff. So now I actually only look at Instagram when it's podcasty stuff, i.e. getting guests on or whatever, and people that are more likely to instantly compare success to on my desktop.
Yeah.
So that is work. So that does not come into bed with me so that I then don't start feeling, and it's funny because I've had that separation now. If it does pop on my Instagram, I'm like, oh, that's amazing for that. There's no more that kind of edginess to it.
This is what this podcast is great through. We're just
life lessons.
The light bulbs are just going off.
But it's about being deliberate about what we allow into our worlds, because it's already it's a lot that we're managing.
Well, and that's obviously what this person is, feeling. And there are periods that I think we all just feel like we're drowning.
Yeah.
And I, as I've said, I've felt a little bit like that, but the fog's kind of lifting, and that can happen too. And I don't know if I've necessarily done anything deliberate, but just recognising, that it should be for short term. But if you continue to feel that way for an extended period of time, then you should absolutely be, talking to your GP as a starting place.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It is. And look, I mean, the things that would particularly put pressure on me, and I was really resentful for a very long time, and we've spoken about this before, is the work travel from Jules's perspective.
Yeah.
That used to throw me, and I felt as though that's just another task on the to-do, and I'm just it's starting to impact our relationship, because I'm resentful that you get to have a night away in a hotel and I have to stay home and look after the kids. I mean, it's one of those ones that's the language I would use. I'd be like, I'm just angry and it's just all too much. And what I've realized, and perhaps if this is something that for those listening is another aspect where there are moments where you have to single parent, again, I always say, take my hat off to those single parents out there who do not have that partner to lean on. I don't know how you do it. But to those of us who do have partners, and they find there are, times in our lives where we're having to share more of the load. The one thing I've found that has really helped change my mindset around his travel is really being intentional about how I set up, the day or the week to be able to accommodate for that travel. So, for example, more recently, Jules had to get a flight on a Sunday for a conference. Yeah. Now, usually I would be seething. I'd be like, that's so unfair. Why a Sunday? That's the one day of the week we're all together other than the Saturday. And I'd find all the reasons to just be resentful, and it's annoying, and you're going to go have fun, and I have to be here by myself, with the kids and whatever. But what I did that day, and it was funny because we were at the beach that weekend, and he was like, we'll pack the whole house, and leave the beach on the Sunday morning. We'll get back to Melbourne and then I'll take off. And I thought in my head, as I was doing my run on Saturday morning along the beach, I was like, I can just see it play out now. We transition everything to Melbourne. We put it down. there's chaos everywhere, and he's like, adios, my Uber's here, bye, and like goes to the airport and has a champagne. Meanwhile, I'm like, I've got supermarket shopping to do, the kids are being feral, I've got stuff to put away, I've got washing to do, I haven't been home all week.
Leave me set up.
I need to be set up. So this is, becoming more intense. So what I ended up doing, did my run that morning, got home that afternoon, and didn't run for that long.
It's a long run.
Got home an hour later or whatever, and I said to Jules, we're leaving for Melbourne tonight. Well, let's enjoy our day here at the beach. We've been there since Thursday night. We're enjoying it, but I want us to pack everything together tonight. I want to get back to Melbourne. I want tomorrow morning for us to be able to get the house set up. I want to do my supermarket shopping while you hold on to the children. I want to get myself set up. So when you leave, I kind of go, see ya, hun.
We're set.
And I'm set up. And I can kind of like sink into just family time and chill and not feel like I have all the things to do.
Does Jules have oversight or understanding, and he's obviously trying to listen to you about what it's like for you when he goes away? So what does he come home to?
So usually... You mean my behaviour?
Your behaviour.
I'm
your
usually
mental well-being.
I'm edgy. I'm
you
prickly.
like throwing the kids at and huffing them? Well, they're yours now.
Often I'm going upstairs to work, and I just need a minute. It's my time. This was me, particularly when the children were young. So obviously 2 children, 18 months apart. I had baby and toddler. You're leaving me, and it might only be for a night. And for those of you who experience that for longer periods, again, it's so challenging. And but fundamentally, I was so angry about it. And he goes, this is part of my job. We are a national company. I need to do what I need to do. So now, I think we've only recently, probably the last year, I've started being able to accommodate his travel more, be a bit nicer as a wife and all the good things when he travels because I'm conscious of it. But also because we put
travel
the structures in place.
sucks. As someone who travels a lot, I hate it, quite frankly. It is exhausting. It's not fun. You're out of your routine. You're eating crappy food. Sometimes you can have a nice dinner, but more often than not, in your mind, you might imagine, the freedom is nice, obviously. Yes,
no kids for a little while.
But, you miss them and it's just, you're out of, where you want to be. And I suspect, I'm not speaking for Jules, but I suspect he probably feels a little bit like that sometimes. What are the boys like are they better? Because Mark often says when I'm away, the boys are better. It's like they know that there's one parent.
Is that right?
And they're kinder to him and better behaved than when we're both there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Can I move into your house?
So maybe I just need to go away more. I don't know.
No, I think they're pretty much the same. They're equally as demanding, but then often they'll notice when I'm like, I'll snap and I'll be like, I can't. Yeah. And often I'm like, I'll say something like, Noah, I need you to help me. Like, Dad's not here right now. Can you please help Mum? Let's, get Charlie in the butt. Like, can you help me? And he'll kind of at that point go, oh, yeah, I didn't even realise that he was gone.
Probably should put my head in.
But probably should have put too much pressure on my poor mum who's by herself and my dad's not here. So, it's just these little reminders. But at the same time, I had to check myself as well because this year I was fortunate to be actually finally on the receiving end and be able to take that trip by myself. And I thought to myself at the start of the year, how do I want Jules to be when I'm away? Do I want him to be prickly, go have fun then, and then prickly when I'm away and then prickly when I get back home? I would feel, so I was like, shit, that's what I've been doing for so long.
Good reflection. Good maturing, good listening.
So it's all the things. So look, getting back to this person who wrote in, how do I sort of switch off and be present? I guess my biggest thing would be on the responsibility front, if there are ways in which you can set up structures, like I was saying, if you've got pressures in your life from certain aspects and you can set yourself up in a way that can help minimize that pressure, whether it's based on your routine or working better with your partner, not better, but working in a different way with your partner to support you and things like that. That's what I would probably encourage to minimize that weight that we can often feel.
It's really hard. I have spoken often about my habit of returning to my home office when I get home. And what have I tried to do differently? Just stop the behaviour and know. Like the work it would stress me that the work was there and that I pride myself on responsiveness. It's my greatest weakness that I feel like I've got to respond to everyone instantly. But now that I'm kinder to myself and know that they'll get a response from me tomorrow, That's fine. No one's going to die.
Yeah.
So it's okay to put the phone away and put the laptop away. And, maybe it's not the whole night, but it's at least till the kids go to bed or till at least you've wound down.
Yeah.
It's kind of just, is it mission critical stuff? Identifying what is contributing to the drowning or that feeling and work out, if you can change it.
Yeah. I often say we're not saving lives. Like, I've got friends who are saving lives.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not.
No.
And so you sort of got to check yourself because sometimes you feel you are. And so therefore you need to do all the things immediately.
Don't have to do all of the things. Just need to understand what are the things that are the non-negotiable must get done things and then what can slide and then see what happens. And maybe they will come back onto the non-negotiable list, but what's the worst thing that can possibly happen if you don't do that thing? I think when you're really trying to identify what is the weight that you're drowning in.
I mean, I have to give this person credit, the fact that they've even acknowledged that they are weighed down by responsibility and struggling to stay present. I mean, half the time it's awareness is everything, right? The fact that you're aware of this, amazing. So now how can we sort of change things? And perhaps it's the way you transition into family life. Maybe there's an opportunity to, I don't know, speak to a girlfriend on the phone before, once you left work and go into the family home, or listen to a podcast or music or, whatever, just to help you also. Like, these physical tasks that we can do to also help us transition more in a better way. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, Liv. Yeah, hope that helps. We'll be in touch. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.